Everyone, I would like to invite you to the Table of Grace.
At the table of grace, the cup's never empty, the plate's always full, and it's never too late to come and be filled with love never ending. You're always welcome to the table of grace.
Welcome to Table of Grace. I'm Melissa Hilton. This is a collaboration with Radio Guadalupe and Belizean to the Bone, where we talk to people whose faith are very strong and has been touched by God's grace. Today with us, we have Father Amelio Chi. How are you today, Father?
Doing fine, thank you. Glad to be here.
Father, I am so going to enjoy this conversation with you, as I don't want to get myself in trouble, but I really like you. You are
Thank you.
my father.
Thank you. I'm 20 years old, so maybe I've matured and
Yeah.
I still need more. Okay.
Father, what jobs did you have before you became a priest?
Well, that was before 1994. I went to the seminary in 1986. And prior to that, I was working at Belize Sugar Industries. I worked there for 4 years. Before those 4 years, I was looking for a job in Belize City, and I waited for about a year. And none of the places answered me. I wanted to work at BTL and BEL at that time, and I applied Radio Belize. Nobody answered me, and then somebody said, "Why don't you go home in Orange Job and apply?" So I went there and I was accepted. I started weighing trucks at Belize Sugar Industries in a scale department, and I think it was like either 1 or 2 weeks when the head of the department called me and said that I should not be in that department because I'm overqualified. I said, "Oh, wow." Anyway, he gave me the good news that in the same factory BSI there was a vacancy, a post for an electronic technician. I said, well, that was my field.
Okay.
So I did go. I was transferred to that electrical section, and I said I was an electronic technician. So while there, I fine-tuned my knowledge, applied my knowledge that I had learned from what we call sixth form, because I attended Belize Technical College at that time. Now it's where IT vet is.
A lot of people that went to Belize Technical College are saying that, oh, that is where the best professionals came from.
Yes. Okay. And then at BSI, I was able to fine-tune, apply what I learned. I learned in repairing computers, repairing photocopiers, even diagnosing, troubleshooting telephone lines, repairing telephones. I did industrial work, for example, rewinding motors, three-phase motors, big motors. When I said big motors, motors that pump water from the New River into the factory I'm talking about big pumps.
Wow.
Big pumps. There was one that what you call the rotor. That's the one that spins. It's a big rotor. We had to go underneath and lie down. All of that we had to do.
Man.
And so generally that was my work. We had to accompany some electricians. I did manage to go on the cranes. Though the cranes are the ones that lift the cane. Those ones. I was also put to work what they call with the centrifugals. That's part of the what they call when all the sugarcane juice has been processed and sent all the way up what they call to the pan floor, and now what they call the molasses has to be separated and it's dumped into this machine, and those machines spin so fast. Now I was to focus more on the electronic side, the electrical side. So if something goes wrong,
that's where you came in.
That's right. And the beauty about that one is that those what you call the centrifugal machines, they spin so fast that it sounds like they're whistling, and in the end you see the molasses on one side and the raw sugar on one.
Okay.
And it's something beautiful because if everything is working fine, you see it opens, you see the basket, and the machine just kind of scrapes the raw sugar and it's sent. So
Separates it where it should go.
Yeah. So I kind of knew the process of
that
at the
part.
BSI. That was virtually my whole work.
And doing that type of work, what made you decide to go into, to just shift around?
Yes, a lot of people ask that question. Well, let's put it this way. While I was working there, I never ever thought of becoming a priest.
Okay.
Never thought of that one. Even when I was going to high school, there was nothing that attracted me to become a priest. I mean, I saw priests, I saw religious sisters, mass, rosaries, novenas. That was nowhere. My mind was just on another world. But it was when I went to Orange Walk that one day I just saw this girl and I said, I want to get married.
Mm-hmm.
This is my girl. And to fast forward, the relationship did not work because I wanted to marry. I wanted to propose. But in my interpretation is that when I went to make the surprise, in hindsight, for me, it appears as if the devil knew exactly what was going to happen. And the relationship did not work. And I just started to ask questions. Why? Why did it happen to me? I mean, I didn't do anything bad. My mother, she told me, son, it says, you have to respect that girl. You have to respect the family. And, that's exactly what I did. I was a gentleman, in my opinion, at that time.
Yeah.
And so what can go wrong? I really don't understand. So to me, that was like a big shock in my life, and I was somewhere in depression that I also wanted to end my life because this thing was like in my mind. It was like, I don't know, this is too much. I can't believe it. I don't know. I don't know how to handle it. This thing has to come to an end. I don't know what it is. But anyway, the day passed. I fell asleep and I woke up. And when I woke up, it was like, wait a minute. This world it can be a cruel world.
Yeah.
But then my search started about truth. I asked questions. I only heard stories from some of my friends, well, we knew this, we knew that, but still did not answer the question why. And I said, I'm now going to, I attended St. John's College, and a little bit of religion that stayed with me. I did not really shout out God, but I knew that He was the creator. I knew that He knew everything. So maybe He's the one that I needed to ask questions.
Yeah.
But the more I asked questions, I just heard nothing. I said, maybe I should go to church. Until one day I said, no, this is before 1986. And this was more like in 1985, I said, well, I heard a queen was coming to Belize, and this queen is going to Orange Walk. I says, queen? Who is this queen? I don't know anything. And eventually I learned that this queen is a lady by the name of Fatima. I said, Fatima? I said, I don't know who's Fatima. All I know, just a woman by the name of Mary.
Yeah.
And I couldn't make out an example. I heard about this other woman by the name of Guadalupe. I said, I don't know who Guadalupe is. I don't know who's Fatima is. And I heard a name like Lourdes. I don't know who
they are.
All I know is that they seem to be like the same Mary to me, but that was where I was in my faith.
Yeah.
So I said, I will go and ask this woman, Fatima. And I took the line, and eventually somebody told me, it's your turn. I said, okay, now I'm going to touch this image. And there was a sign that says, do not touch me. I will touch it. I just pulled my hands out and said, wow, I was scared. I think that was another big step in my search, because I did feel as if I was touched in a different way. I was touched by the surprise. That how is it that I felt that my mind was red.
Oh, really?
And to me that was a major step now in entering the prayer life, that's how I slowly began to embrace the rosary and ask the questions. God, what is it that you're trying to tell me? Or what is it that I don't see? What is it that I don't hear? Or what are you calling me to be? I mean, this didn't work out. It appears as if this is what I wanted, but no, I don't want to go through this. You tell me what you want me to be. I will do it if you want, but don't let this happen to me again. Because it was painful.
Yeah.
So I asked questions and I started praying, and then I kind of like started to go to Mass on my own, And I don't know where it came from, but something is like a little mind crossed priest student that says, nah. I just said, no, it can't be. And someone says, no, that can't be. He just kept coming, but I says, but I found all the reasons why not to become a priest.
Yeah.
1, I don't go to church. 2, I don't pray. 2, I don't even have a Bible. I don't read the Bible. And besides, I was still working at Belize Sugar Industries. At that time, making good money, and when weekend came, I went to all my friends. I used to
party time.
Yeah, exactly. I used to drink. Belican, not 1, not 2, not 3. 12 was my limit.
It's a slug down.
But 12 was my limit, And that was part of my reason, God, I can't be, and I'm shy. I don't see myself going in the stage that says, no. So I found all the reasons why not to go. But one day, the day came. Because I asked God, I says, I don't know why these things are happening to me, but somehow I feel that there's something you're trying to tell me. I don't know what it is. Is this really what you want me to do? Well, then show me. So one Friday, I got sick and I didn't go to work at Belize Sugar Industries. I just took the bus and decided to go to my little village outside of Orange Town, maybe like 15-20 minutes away. I had fever and I got off the bus, but when I look on the east, you can see the clouds so saturated, look kind of black, and in the distance, like you can see in the east, like the rain is coming. I can hear that like little like this frying sound coming. And I could feel the breeze coming, and it's like the driver says, why don't you go to San Jose? And I said, no, I'm going to stop here. And anyway, the bus left, and I started to walk across the highway. And it wasn't wide, not even 20 feet wide. I didn't reach there, and I could see the rain, dropping. I said, I'm going to get wet. And even by the time I reached the other side of the highway, the rain was already in front of me. And I said, wait a minute, something happened here. I don't know what it is. I can't believe it. And I said, wait a minute. I see the rain in front of me, but I saw behind my back, this cloud was, wide, like miles. How is it? And when I look back, I saw the sun, I saw blue sky, and in front of me was raining. I said, God, you're good. You're good. And that's how I ended up talking with Bishop Martin and the whole process. And I entered seminary in 1986.
Wow.
That's a
in a
compressed
nutshell.
version, yes.
I just have to say, wow.
Yeah, that's,
I mean, it's touching, but yet it's a bit. I don't have the word for it, because you went from being in love next to marrying somebody, then you got heartbroken. Your heart wasn't with God at that time.
no.
And it just got to the point where he spoke to you and you actually listened to him. And that is where a lot of us tends to stray, because we are like, we pray for what we want, but our heart isn't open to hear the answers to what we're praying for.
Sometimes when people ask me the same question, why you entered the priesthood, I just tell them, in a brief shell, it says, I never thought about it, I want to get married, but in my search, I found God. That was in a nutshell. I found God. But God was there all along the way.
Yeah.
I can look back and look at certain things and he was there, except that I couldn't see, I couldn't hear, but he was there.
that was the point when you actually got ready, you got prepared to hear him.
Yes.
You had to go through a certain preparation in order to hear him.
Yeah, I felt like I was like a little Jonah. You know, Jonah kind of like was running away and he didn't want to do, and I was just going, and eventually, you know, God did his work and said, okay, all right, okay. So.
Listen. We'll be right back with more from Father Chi. If you're like me, I know you won't want to move anywhere because I'm dying to hear what the rest has to be. We'll be right back.
At the table of grace, the cup's never empty, the plate's always full, and it's never too late.
The table of grace.
At the table of grace, the cup's never empty, the plate's always full, and it's never too late.
Welcome back to Table of Grace with Father Chi, as you just heard why he entered the priesthood. Father, I think I need an entire week with you. So that was your greatest influence to join. When you joined, I know you had to go and did so many years before you came back.
Yes, 8 years, you know.
8 years that you did. When you came back, what was the first parish you went to?
I was assigned to Holy Redeemer Cathedral. I did 7 years there. That was my first assignment. And that's where I remember you.
Yes.
Young. Well, now here I am.
I'm not that old. And now you're at?
I'm at St. Ignatius Parish there in Belize City. But after St. Ignatius, I was also, while at the Holy Redeemer from 1994 to 2001, I was also asked to attend St. John Vianney Mission. That was from 1996 to 2001. Then I was asked to go and get a master's in catechetics, so that was like 2 years. That led me from 201 to 203. And then from 203, when I came back, I was sent to Belmopan at Our Lady of Guadalupe Co-Cathedral. I did 4 years there. And that would lead me to 207. I asked for a leave of absence because my health was terrible. I had to take some time. But the following year, 2008, I came back because the leave of absence was finished, and I was assigned to Orange Walk or La Immaculada Concepcion Parish. So I stayed there for about 4 years, and then assignments came, and then St. Ignatius. Now, St. Ignatius is the shortest assignment I had, just 2 years.
Really?
Yes.
And I know it has been one of the most active one for you.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yes, every parish, has it's like a person. Every parish has something that defines it, something different from other parishes. And at St. Ignatius is also one of the things, at least in my time, that's defined St. Ignatius is the location, but at the same time, I would say like the violence in the area. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I heard in the news about the gangs there. So that was one of the first things that came to my mind. That's where I'm going. But it's unique, though. I mean, it's unique. That the violence doesn't define entirely what St. Ignatius is, because we have people, we have schools there, and we have like St. Vincent de Paul Society at St. Ignatius. There's a mother and daughter association that I haven't seen in the other parishes where I've been. And there's also a Christ Renews His Parish, the women's group.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that that characterizes
the church itself, the parish.
The parishes. And moreover, the history of St. Ignatius, how it came to be, with the Jesuits and all the schools, who were the first principals and the priests who've been there. And for that one, I would say I know more of that because one of the previous pastors, Father Noah Leslie, he did a little research. I said, wow, each parish, and St. Ignatius has his own history.
How is it? I don't want to label the parish, because I've been to St. Ignatius for quite some years as well. That is one of the parishes that a lot of the unique funerals tend to be. I want to say unique because it's a bit touchy when you come to those things. How do you, and with that, people attending Mass are hurt in so many different ways when it's that type of, how do you deal with that?
Like what do you mean?
The parish, well, I won't say parishioners, but for example, when you have a Mass, I know different Masses, different funerals are different.
Yes.
But when it comes to a Mass, I am so gonna, I don't want to say it this way, but you have, a couple years back, right up the street from St. Ignatius was where they had that big incident where 4 gentlemen had their throats slashed and different things like that. And I know those kind of murders tend to go to St. Ignatius Parish. I don't know why, but that is something that I had always questioned. Is it that when you go there you get this special final blessing, or it is just something that always is in my mind? With those?
Well, I would just being there, I would say that because it's within the boundaries, most likely that those families associated in one way or the other with St. Ignatius Parish. Okay. So that would be I would say the logical or the first place to go. Where they identify. And also the other aspect to that is that I would say everybody's welcome at St. Ignatius. Yeah. The living and even the dead. They are welcome at St. Ignatius. And you're speaking about the Mass. How do you, I won't say the word is not cater, but how do you attend to these people?
Yes.
I would say in circumstances like that, we have to listen, we have to look at what the people are doing. They will tell us what their needs are. For example, like with violence, there is a need there. For example, we can ask the questions, why? Why this evil? When is this violence going to stop? When is the shooting going to stop? Yeah. And then as a priest, the first source among the issues that would present itself would be, how do we take the message of a God who is merciful, who is loving, who is compassionate? How now do we let them understand that? And in a funeral, for example, if somebody died because of shooting, if, let's say, maybe it's somebody was suspected gang-related, that's the time, to use God's word and present it as understandable in a concrete way, so that the people can understand that we have not been abandoned, that God is still with us.
How do you get, it doesn't necessarily has to be anyone from a specific area. This is it's a general question. How do you get someone who is just a routine Mass goer to develop a relationship with God? Because I notice a lot of young people, I go to church because of my mother, or my family insists that I go. But how do you get them to develop that relationship with God?
When I will speak from my personal experience as a priest, is that if we want to develop that relationship, I would say that's the starting point. Nobody will oblige you, nobody will force you. You want that relationship. So that's the freedom aspect, the key point that you want. And you can say you're hungry, you can say you're thirsty. Now, what is it now that will quench that thirst? What is it that will satisfy that hunger? Then, I can recall what Jesus says after he finished his 40 days in desert. Man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. So the person now has to take that move, and whatever he or she does not know, he has to remove what I call ignorance, or the lack of faith, or not understanding the faith. Then you open up, you begin to search, you begin to ask questions. I think what is happening today is that a lot of people are hungry, they're thirsty, and they don't ask the questions. Maybe they don't read the right material, they don't watch, for example, like EWTN, but they're searching. And it's like a one-to-one relationship with God. For example, I want to know who Menjiva Akibar is, or who he is. But I don't know, because that name doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know him. So I cannot have a relationship with a God whom I do not know. How do I know him? Well, there are people who have been touched. We have the lives of the saints. We have to understand why we have the Mass, why the disciples or the apostles did this, and etc., etc. You see, those disciples, the witnesses, the martyrs, they point to somebody who also they did not know and they came to know. Then they began to develop their relationship with Jesus Christ. And that's one of the importance in the readings going to Mass. You see, we kind of like stop this process or this relationship when we go to Mass, and sometimes, you go to Mass and say, I want to go home already. If I already take too long, it's like, wait a minute, you're not listening, so you just open yourself to this relationship. Here, how is God? It's like me, when I was discerning, there were so many things I could have been distracted. I could have continued drinking, but I still wanted to hear that voice. Where is it in the midst of all those things that are happening? And to me, that is one of the things that if somebody wants this relationship, if you want to be nurtured, you want this relationship, you can, just by asking the right questions, you can talk to a priest, you can talk to a religious sister, what material do I need, what can I read? You can get to catechism, you can watch a EWTN. There are so many resources out there, that you can come to know Jesus Christ. So if you don't know Jesus Christ, you don't have that relationship. And so going, for example, like to Mass, it's going to be boring.
Yeah. You said that to get that relationship, you need to be open to it. From the time you came back, has anyone gone to you in the sense that with simple things saying, I wasn't open to having that relationship, but a song or something that someone said to me really had me thinking?
Oh, yeah. Yes, you see, that's one of the beautiful things about, I would say, the moments when God makes himself real in the life of others and they share with us. We know that God is real. For example, one story is that I remember in Belize City. I won't say the parish where I was, but it was in Belize City. I was just about finishing Mass and I saw this lady in the back. And the choir said, okay, our recessional hymn is, I think it says, Be Not Afraid. I think that was the song. And as we were singing, then I think the song says, you shall cross the barren desert.
Okay.
In the sea you shall not drown. And all of a sudden I saw this lady, she started crying. And I was wondering, why? Why was that song so powerful that it touched her? It's like, I don't know what it was. I don't know where her spirituality was. But the story eventually is that I did make contact with the person, and the person told me that the day before was a Saturday, and she had gone to the beach right here in Belize City, and the children were swimming, and eventually, for some reason, she didn't hear like one of the voices of her children. I don't know if it's a daughter or a boy, but I think it was a daughter. It's like all of a sudden she looked in the water, in the sea, and she saw like bubbles coming out. And says like the child is drowning, and so she just went and pulled up the baby.
Oh man!
And eventually wanted let's go home. I think this was too much, so she went home.
Yeah.
And anyway, the next day it appeared to me as if either she went to give thanks to God, or by her intervention, maybe God was trying to pull her close. I don't know, but it was something related to that. But in God's plan, there's no coincidence, there is no chance. And so when that song was sung, and the choir had, no perception, no knowledge of what that was going to mean. And so just that line, you shall cross the barren desert, in the sea you shall not drown. That was not just a song. That
It meant
mass,
something to her.
that mass was not just a mass. That day was not just a day. That day was a day when she was touched in a different way by a powerful song that was inspired by Scripture.
Wow.
That's one of those ones. And I have others, but that's one of those ones.
It's just amazing hearing a lot of the stories on how people's lives has been touched. Please join us. We're going to take a short break and join us back here after that break on Table of Grace with Father Chi, where we're going to hear a lot more of that.
At the table of grace, the cup's never empty, the plate's always full, and it's never too late.
The Table of Grace.
At the table of grace, the cup's never empty, the plate's always full, and it's never too late.
Welcome back to Table of Grace. We're here with Father Chi. Father, you're leaving us. Where are you being transferred to? Let's not say you're leaving us. You're being transferred.
So I've been appointed to be the rector of St. Benedict Diocesan Seminary at Santa Familia in the Cairo district. And my appointment becomes effective on the 1st of August.
And for those that don't know what that entails, what all will you be doing there?
Okay, the rector is the title given to the one who is in charge of now it's a seminary.
Okay.
Now, seminary in simplest terms is like an institution or a place where we have, especially for the priesthood, where we prepare males, not necessarily young males, but those would be the ideal ones, those would be the expected ones.
Okay.
That we prepare them to enter in a more formal way their journey or preparation towards the ordained priesthood. And there's plenty of focus on academics, but that's not enough. We also have to make sure that they have a spiritual side. And in addition to that, your relationship will begin to there's like a screening process, but it's more preparation. Generally speaking, for example, seminary. The word seminary comes from the word, I think it comes from seminalis, from the word seeds. So those are the early seeds that, we begin to kind of culture and nurture in them. For example, the question you asked me, what made you become a priest?
Yeah.
Right, so when I went to the seminary in 1986, the calling, little seeds, that little watering, to let it flower, let it bloom, studying, opening ourselves to grace. So at the seminary, we will be doing that, in a smaller way. But because Belize, our diocese does not have what I would call a major seminary compared to what we have in Belize, we are the first step in our diocese for diocesan vocations. Then the plan is that after they're finished, then we'll send them outside to take now the remaining courses, and hopefully that if they go through, they will get ordained. But my one is right there.
Is it, do a lot of men go there, or we're short on that?
Well, the seminary is young. I think it's going to be like 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So we're still growing. There's a lot more to go. I can only speak from my experience when I went to the seminary. For example, having a big chapel, having a lot of students, having a lot of spiritual directors, because we are not to that big scale. Where we had to take courses in philosophy.
Yeah.
In our seminary is so small, we don't have the professors, we don't have the priests who are qualified to teach those courses.
Okay.
So, but this is what we have in our country, like in Cairo, I think we have to the previous rector, Father Palma, he was providing some courses, and he was working in conjunction with, I think, the Sacred Heart Junior College there.
Okay.
You know. So that's how we are working. Now, I don't know the full work, but I know that that's more or less of the work that I will be doing.
And how different will that be from being in a parish, for example, well, for St. Ignatius there?
What's going to be different is, I would say, in the parish I dealt with many people, including, like, you know, we have the school. This one is going to be different because now I will not be dealing with a big parish. It's just the institution itself. The seminarians are really small in number. I think we might have like 2 or maybe 3. So you see the
the difference there.
Yes. The other difference is that in parishes we have weddings, baptisms, funerals. We celebrate the Eucharist. Well, the Eucharist is always central, so that will be done there. Confession, that will be part there, but it's not still. So that is different. But what remains the same, though, is always the attention, the nurturing of the faith. At the seminary, it will be nurturing also the faith, the spiritual life of the seminarians.
Okay.
That they can hear God's word, to make sure that they discern to, you know, if God is calling you, you know, my duty is also there to walk along with them, to hear what their needs are, and at the same time prepare them that when they, as best as I can, give any resources so that when they go, for example, at St. Louis, Missouri, where I studied, that they have a solid foundation, or as best as possible, that when they go there, they can handle, they can make that step forward and continue. So that remains the same. They are, the seminarians there, while their numbers is small, they too will be facing many of the trials that people in the parish face. For example, they have families. You know, they have well, most of them, I think, I don't know them personally, but they come from a family, father and mother. When I was there, my mother got sick, my mother died. I think last year, one of our seminarians, there was somebody, I think, was sick or passed away. We have to be there. In that case, when I go there, if something that happens, I have to be there for them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's almost too like their families become like my parishioners, but not really parishioners, but they become my family too. So there's a similarity, you know. For example, they might have issues like maybe not so much in the parish, but when I was studying their academics, I needed the help. I will try to help them and not do their homework,
but assist them in any way.
Yes, right. So that will be as like a something different, but they have a different kind of struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even, for example, like let's say health-wise, what if they're sick? I have to also attend to them and know that you know, they are part of the church, and that's another little aspect that is different in the parish. For example, in this seminary where I will be, the seminarians, they are, I would say, they're not clergy, they're not part of the hierarchy, but at the same time, in the step that they have just taken to be in the seminary, there's a responsibility now from the church, and I am part of that little figure there that will be treating them, those two, not like a clergy, but somewhere
in
there.
between.
Yes, it's like I would say like a catechumen. A catechumen is somebody who wants to be fully initiated into the Catholic Church. If something should happen, for example, worst case scenario with a catechumen, if a catechumen dies, canon law says that the church will treat that catechumen as if it was one of our own. So in this seminary too, whatever the issues or crisis arises, we're going to give them attention as if they are one of our own. It's not really like a priest, but kind of like a priest.
Yeah.
You know? So that's like a little thing different from the parish.
From the parish life itself.
Yes. And for example, there's a annual Dyson Priest Day, which is on the feast of St. Peter and St. Paul. I think June the 29th, I think that's the feast. So they're not priests as yet, the seminarians. But I think it coincides with their vacations. So we invite them, we embrace them, and they get to know the other diocesan priests one-to-one. So you see that one is
It's
different.
a bit different. It's a bit different. From your end, how have you seen our country grown spiritually, or?
Yeah, I would say yes. Historically, we have had vocations. Let me see if I can remember some of them. Like Bishop Martin, we had Father Oswald Reyes, Father Lazarus Augustine, Father Franco, Father Rene Gomez, before my time. Historically, the diocese the foundation was laid by the Jesuit missionaries, but then they started to cultivate, the local vocations, and so you see that our diocese began to produce this, and it's still growing, because now when we look at Belize, and because I come from Orange Walk, I can speak more about Orange Walk. For example, vocations have come like Father Jordan Gongora, he's from York Creek. Father Anthony Vega, he's now a Jesuit. I think he's the provincial superior of the Jesuits here in Belize. We have Father Rene Constanza, he was from Orange Walk. He's now with the, I think with the Paulist, one of those communities. Then we have some other religious women from Orange Walk. Some of them have joined the Madrecita de la Luz, who are a missionary group from Mérida, Yucatan. We have, I think, a sister from the Soul, Sister Guadalupe. We have some from, we have a sister from August Pine Ridge. She has joined the Sisters of Charity, the ones associated with Mother Teresa of Calcutta. So we see, that the vocations are, are there. We have grown, and we're continuing growing. But there's a lot more to go. A lot more to go.
And what about our relationship with God as a country? Have you seen any difference with that?
Well, certainly I would say, given the violence in our country, given the single parents, especially mothers, the breaking of families. When I look at our schools, so many single mothers, that means the breaking of marriages. It says that there's a lot more, that we are not exempt from what is happening in the world. There's much more search, much more conversion that needs to be done. It's like the more the world grows, the more the world of our church grows, this scale or this percentage also grows.
Yeah.
Just as there's goodness, just as the population grows, just as there's more vocation growing, but at the same time the evil begins to grow. So we still have a lot of work to do.
Father, you have any closing words for viewers out there?
Well, I would say that, we need to hear God speaking to us. We need Him to enter in our lives, our own, then our families, then our communities. We also need to, to reach out to those who are hurting. We need to give them love. I know, that we say, and Scripture says that God is love, but in my own life, in my own family, I have seen that love is so powerful, it does make a difference. And I just want to end with what St. Paul says: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love.
It's love. I
have seen it, I have felt it, and I know it's true.
Some might say it's so hard to do.
Yes, but it's true. It works.
Love is so hard to do. It's amazing. Father, I definitely enjoyed my conversation with you. It's something that I need to do more of. It's something we really need to do more of. Thank you guys so much for joining Table of Grace this week. If you guys are like me, I really enjoyed it and I need some more. Like Father said, we need to love more. Look out for each other. Look out for our neighbors. Love, love, love. I can't stress on that more. And by that, your faith will definitely grow and you will definitely feel more closer to God. Just keep your hearts open. Ask Him, pray each night and ask Him to open your hearts to hear His words. And when you do, you'll be so touched and your lives will be so much better. Like what I always say, when you wake up each morning, thank the Lord for your life, your family, your friends, and for our country. I'm Melissa Hilton. Join me next time on Table of Grace. Bye.
At the table of grace, the cups never